Today we cover 5 psychological tactics that are being used on you right now. Tribal instinct is our ancient need for group belonging. It evolved when survival depended on staying with your tribe. Sports teams activate this primal circuitry in our modern brains. Your team's victory feels like your own personal survival. Losing triggers the same threat response as actual danger. We unconsciously see opposing teams as rival tribes threatening us. Tribal instinct overrides rational thinking during intense sports moments. This explains why intelligent people say absurd things at games. Our stress hormones spike whether we play or watch. Watching your team triggers the same neurochemistry as combat. We experience literal physical pain when our team loses badly. Tribal loyalty makes us defend our team against all logic. Opposing fans become enemies, despite sharing identical fundamental values. The tribal circuit doesn't distinguish between life and sports. Violence at sports events reveals tribal instinct in its rawest form. Removing yourself from the tribalism requires deliberate, conscious effort. Awareness of tribal instinct is the first step toward freedom. We can enjoy sports without letting instinct completely hijack us. The goal isn't eliminating tribal instinct, but understanding it. Sports reveal we're still animals wearing suits and speaking reason. We are not civilized beings watching sports. We are ancient warriors using sports to remember who we really are. Dopamine isn't pleasure, it's anticipation of reward itself. Your brain floods dopamine before winning, not after. This chemical hijacks your reward system with supernatural precision. Winning triggers dopamine spikes that rival cocaine use. Your body craves the next win, not satisfaction. One victory resets your baseline dopamine permanently lower. You need bigger wins to feel the same rush. Sports teams exploit this by offering constant competition. Losing creates dopamine withdrawal more painful than winning feels good. Your brain learns to predict winning through pattern recognition. This prediction becomes more addictive than actual victory itself. Uncertainty amplifies dopamine more than guaranteed outcomes ever could. Your brain becomes enslaved to the possibility of winning. Dopamine dysregulation explains why fans abandon rational thought. The dopamine crash after losing lasts longer than the high. Repeated losses cause depression like dopamine depletion in fans. Recovery requires days of reduced dopamine sensitivity afterward. Your dopamine system doesn't distinguish real from vicarious winning. This explains why strangers' victories feel personally redemptive. We're not crazy for sports. We're enslaved to neurochemistry. We don't watch sports for winners. We chase the dopamine that winning promises will never quite satisfy. Us versus them divides the world into two camps. Your brain evolved to trust in-groups and distrust outsiders. Sports teams trigger this ancient survival mechanism instantly. Wearing your team's colors activates tribal identity in seconds. Enemy teams become genuinely threatening, despite zero actual danger. Your amygdala floods with stress hormones watching opponents play. Them winning activates the same brain regions as pain. Rational thinking shuts down when tribal identity activates. You'll defend your team even against objective evidence. Confirmation bias locks you deeper into us versus them. Dehumanization happens when them becomes truly evil in mind. Violence emerges when us versus them reaches critical intensity. Your moral code changes depending on which team benefits. Oxytocin bonds you closer to us while hating them. The more invested you are, the less you question. Breaking tribal loyalty feels like personal betrayal and shame. Recovery requires recognizing the threat was always in your head. Perspective taking weakens us versus them, but feels deeply uncomfortable. Shared humanity dissolves tribal thinking faster than logic ever does. We're not evil for tribalism. We're just neurologically ancient. The tribe feels real because evolution made it matter once. Now we defend imaginary enemies as fiercely as survival. Physical arousal is your body's primal alarm system activating. Your heart rate doubles within seconds of perceived threat. Cortisol floods your bloodstream before conscious thought occurs. Your pupils dilate to absorb more visual information. Blood redirects from digestion to muscles for survival. Goosebumps appear, even though they serve no modern purpose. Your breathing becomes shallow and rapid without conscious control. Tunnel vision narrows focus to eliminate all distractions. Testosterone spikes in both males and females watching. Your immune system temporarily shuts down during peak arousal. Sweat production increases despite no physical exertion occurring. Pain sensitivity decreases dramatically in aroused states. Your prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain, literally goes offline. Rational decision-making becomes impossible during peak arousal. Adrenaline crashes can cause depression lasting hours. Recovery requires parasympathetic activation to restore normal function. Sleep disruption occurs for days after intense arousal. Your body remembers arousal patterns and reacts faster. Addiction to arousal develops because the body craves intensity. We're addicted to feeling alive through controlled danger. Sports don't excite us. They briefly free us from being civilized. Collective identity dissolves the boundary between self. We abandon personal judgment for group consensus. Your brain literally stops processing individual thoughts. The group becomes an extension of yourself. Belonging triggers dopamine release in your brain. Sports teams become vessels for our identity. Losing feels like a personal attack on existence. Winning elevates you beyond your individual accomplishments. We unconsciously mimic the group's emotional states. Rational thought surrenders to tribal instinct. Aggression toward rival fans becomes socially sanctioned. The group mind erases accountability for actions. Dehumanization of opponents occurs rapidly within groups. Violence escalates exponentially within collective emotional states. Leaving the group feels like psychological death. Recovery requires recognizing your individual consciousness again. Distance from the group restores critical thinking. Questioning the narrative separates you from masses. Integration means embracing belonging without losing yourself. We are tribal creatures fighting modern consciousness. Collective identity is the illusion of unity masking the erasure of self. Now you know, awareness is your greatest protection. Share this with someone who needs to see it.